Good morning, everyone. It's a brisk 31 degrees here this morning. We've not had very many days below freezing in January. It was a very, very mild month. But let's talk more about the summertime. First things first, guys. Thank you all for your text and your emails and your comments, wondering how we're doing. So Greg and I had some sort of a stomach deal, and then it kind of turned slightly to respiratory, but now it's mountain cedar time here in Texas, and that's pretty bad for a lot of Texas people who suffer from seasonal allergies, because mountain cedar seems to be one of our worst, and it's certainly one of my worst. So it was like a stomach deal, and then respiratory and headache and lots of fatigue, but Greg has been feeling better, and I'm starting to bounce back. So thank you all for your concern. Thank you all for your prayers. Most importantly, your prayers and your well wishes. So let's come over here first and let's check how my seeds are doing from the new seed company. Wanted to give you guys an update because it's been right out about 9 days, I think, since we planted. So let's check these out. So I'm starting to see the broccoli germinate, some of the dill, and then some of the warmer plants are going to take a little bit longer, which is what I expected, guys. It's 70 degrees here in our seed starting tray. And here are some of the peppers. These are not from that seed company, but you can see our peppers are doing pretty good from where Greg started. Let's go check out some others. So first off, we went right from those freezing temps to bolting broccoli. And that is the challenge in these high tunnels, especially here in Texas. I'm not sure about other areas, but here in Texas, because we had such a warm January, it heated up in here and everything thought it was springtime. I don't think I'm gonna let these bolt for seed. I really need this pot. So these are probably gonna be clipped back, but this cabbage doesn't look like it's gonna be forming a head anytime soon. Celery is starting to rebound. That Shinzao bok choy, I just continue to be amazed at how it came through that frost, but you can see it's getting ready to bolt, so we're going to have to cook some of that up, but my chickens also love that. And some of my cabbage is looking a little better. And here's the cauliflower, guys, and again, I think the warmer temps have really taken a toll, but we're going to be able to eat some of this. I'm going to be able to get some of these little heads of cabbage, so I am pleased. I am pleased with what I'm seeing, but let me show you what else is making a presence here in spite of those dreaded freezing temps. Ta-da! Yes, the dreaded aphids. And guys, it's right at freezing in this high tunnel. So I'm really surprised to see that these are still hanging on and coming in. So Greg's been treating them. We're not seeing much of a difference, but we're going to continue on. Now these are my collard greens. They do not like neem oil, so that's why we're struggling with these. We're able to use neem on other plants where it has a little bit more effectiveness, but I just can't believe that we are struggling still with aphids. You can see my one lonely tomato plant down there. That's a black creme. It's still continuing to prosper, but we have that heater right next to it. And we've got to wait, guys, another week, maybe more, to put anything else in the ground, because next week it looks like we're going to get in the lower 20s for a couple of days. The daytime temps are going to be in the 40s, it looks like, but the nighttime temps are going to be extremely cold. So trying to gauge and figure out what we can go ahead and put in the ground has been very difficult. In fact, I haven't planted any carrots in that raised bed up front because I don't want them to take a hit like the ones did outside here, outside this little high tunnel from that big freeze. So it's very difficult to gauge. Now I do have carrots in mini tubs in here that look to be doing pretty well. Thankful for that. My spinach is doing well, my kale, and my onions. So here's that other tray of seeds I started at the same time, and you can see the cool weather plants are starting to come up pretty good. I've got some of my shards coming up. I've got my cabbages coming up. let's see, red cabbage. I got mustard greens coming up. I got some of the rainbow chard and some of the kale. My Brussels sprouts are coming up. So the cool weather plants are doing pretty well. Now we are using heat mats underneath our seed start, and you can see we have started tons of seeds. And shazam, look at all of these tomato plants that are going to be ready to go in the ground probably in a couple of weeks. Here are all the onions I planted right before that big blast we had in December, and you can see they're holding their own and they're doing quite well, but all the brassicas I planted in between did not survive. So we do have some good news. Looky here, guys. Oops, sorry. Looky here. That is the bell pepper. This is one of the, or not the bells, this is one of the Anaheim peppers here. And back of the high tunnel, it is showing signs of life after that big freeze. And so Greg decided that he is going to leave all of these, and you're not supposed to touch them. You're supposed to let the leaves fall off. You shouldn't prune them back. And then we're just gonna wait. And as they get stronger at the base, showing signs of life, we think that we're gonna be able to save several of these. See, here's another one. So this is really great news. This is a bell pepper plant. So right now, again, we're just leaving them alone, and we're hoping that, look at this growth, it's gonna continue to prosper, and these leaves will fall off on their own, and then we can see what needs to be pruned back. Unfortunately, long-term forecast is showing that this summer, we're expecting it to be hotter than it was last summer, and we are really dreading that, guys. And so we are starting to plan differently. We're starting to look at our options, and our goal is to try to get things in here as early as possible, get things harvested as quickly as possible, and then probably July and August we're not going to be able to really do very much. We don't want to try to nurse our tomato plants through those hot months. So what we'll do is we'll start some seeds sometime in July, and hopefully we'll be able to plant fresh plants, new plants, in September, where we can harvest before the first freeze and get another harvest. And that's probably going to be the same for several items. Another thing we're going to do this year is, so last year I usually start my squash and zucchini around the same time that I plant the full garden, March, end of March. So I did that last year, and of course we got the squash bugs, but we turned around and replanted after that, and we didn't have squash bugs. And I'm hearing that from others, that people are waiting later to start their squash and their zucchini because they don't seem to have any damage from squash bugs or vine borers if you plant later in the year. So that will go in later. What will go in at normal time are going to be our tomatoes, and we're hoping, like I said, some of these peppers back here are going to rebound. We have more peppers started, and let's see, so tomatoes, peppers, we'll get our cucumbers in at normal time, and we're probably going to plant some melons and stuff earlier as well, and get them going. And we're looking at what we can put on the back acre. I want to do some purple hull peas, and I want to do some black-eyed peas, and I want to get some pretty big harvest of that. And Greg has been, he did the cover crop back there, trying to improve our soil, because our soil here in Texas, where we live, I've lived out here almost 20 years, but prior to that it was farmland, and it was depleted, and probably had all kinds of other things in it that we really don't want in our food. And so he is trying to draw that out by these cover crops. And so we've got to get back there and check that soil and see what we want to do and make some plans there. It's coming quickly. We're at the end of January, so we got about 6 weeks to start thinking. But guys, here in Texas, if we're going to be hotter than we were last year, that was very dangerous for us. We were getting dangerous temperatures by 10:30 in the morning, so we were working as soon as the sun came up until around 10:30, and then we had to quit. We're going to have to make some changes on that this year. Again, we'll keep our bell peppers alive because they tend to do well through the heat. Tomatoes were all exhausted probably around June, toward the end of June, maybe 1st of July. We're not going to try to keep those alive. We're going to replant those And we'll probably replant maybe some cucumbers, and again, we'll start squash late, and we probably have time to start squash again with our warmer weather here in Texas. But you know, right now gardening is getting to be like a box of chocolates for sure. You don't know what you're gonna get with the weather. I did a video about 2 years ago, maybe 3, stating that things were changing, and was our gardening seasons going to change, and the timing of everything, and it looks like it is. And so we are trying to adapt, and I know a lot of you are too, trying to adapt to these weather changes and these climate changes. And it's just crazy, you know. You can no longer pop a seed in the ground, water it and feed it and watch it come to fruition. At least here in our area you can't. We are up against drought, we're up against severe weather, high winds, we're up against bugs, insects, because we're not, staying cold enough to kill insects off during the winter, so they're just lingering, especially in these high tunnels. So many things, and now with these hard freezes that we're getting sporadically and periodically, it's enough that we have to be real careful with what we put in the ground and when, to make sure it's going to survive it, because we don't want to lose anything. Like, I really wanted to plant some lettuces this week, but again, I'm waiting for this weather to stabilize an extended time, at least until they can germinate, and I'm not seeing that in the next 7 to 10 days. I'm seeing very cold temps that could prohibit things from germinating outside and not being protected like we have on our seed starting tables with our warming seed trays. So the prediction is that La Nina is going to stick around until at least the end of the spring, March or April, and which is going to bring us, they're saying, drier than normal weather, and drier and hotter. So we're very concerned about that, deeply concerned, because I just don't want to go through another year of wildfires and worried about the fire danger. In fact, earlier this week, we were under a fire danger warning, and then we got rain on Tuesday, and we probably got about 1.5 inches, which was much needed. And so now we are in the cooler temps. But yeah, we really don't want to go in to the spring and summer, guys, without any rain, and with drought-like temperatures and having to worry about wildfires like we did last year. And we certainly don't want to go into the summer knowing that we're going to get extended 100-degree days like we did last year. We were getting up to 110, 113 degrees easily last year. And for them to be saying that we're going to be hotter this year than last year is deeply concerning for us. And so we're having to adapt. And if you're in the South, you're probably going to need to start thinking about that as well, and thinking about if you can go ahead and start some seeds now and protect them, and then get them in the ground as quickly as you can, especially if you're going to plant in March and April. I would prepare for a late frost or freeze. So if you do decide to go ahead and plant, which I think you should, you need to make sure you can cover them and keep them protected. Because I really think that by the time July and August rolls around, if these predictions are correct, we're in for a hot one and a dry one. And I really hope that that's not the case. Our lakes here in Texas are still very low, 7 feet low. And we are at the end of January, so our rain normally comes in March and April and May. If La Nina sticks around and keeps us in a dry pattern, that could be very, very dangerous for us here in North Texas, especially because of the dryness and the droughts and the wildfires. And because right now they're still not letting people water their lawns up in Tarrant County and here in Johnson County. You know, they're still saying we are under a water restriction, that you can't be, as much as you want to, you cannot be watering your property. Cold weather hasn't bothered me one bit. I've looked forward to it from that treacherous summer that we had. And honestly, guys, it seems like just yesterday we were in the 100 degrees, because again, we've had some cold snaps, but we've also had unseasonably warm, especially for January. So guys, it's time to get your gardening calendar out and start matching it up to your last freeze or last frost date. Ours is March 21st, but I do think we'll get another one after that, because we've had them for the last, this would be the 4th year in a row that we've had some late freezes and late frost. But yeah, I think we're going to have to plant early and we're going to have to harvest early, and we're just going to have to work very hard at it. I started about 300 seeds for our fall garden, and you can see not much survived. We'll get a little bit, but not anything like I was expecting. And so I'm hoping we have better luck in the spring and in the early summer. I really don't think we're going to have anything in the late summer except maybe peppers, and then doing some more seeds starting mid-year. So start thinking about that too. So if you have your seeds, you want to make sure that you have enough to start you some tomatoes and other items, maybe some cucumbers and stuff, midsummer squash, zucchini, and then your winter squashes, so that maybe we'll have some sort of more seasonal, more appropriate seasons, seasonably appropriate. But I don't even know what seasonal is anymore here right now. Things have just changed so drastically over the last 3 to 4 years. But yeah, start planning now. We are impressed with the Survival Garden Seed Company. Again, you saw that I'm starting to get some good germination, and we're only 7 days in. I really expect to see other things start to germinate. And in fact, I went ahead and ordered a couple more packs. Not that I'll plant this year, but I'll have for next year just in case, because they state on the back that these are good for 3 to 8 years. And this reusable pack will keep them safe for that amount of time. I'm going to go ahead and put the link down below. We are an affiliate. We do get a 5% commission. So, I mean, we're not getting rich off of it, guys, but you know, they are offering you guys a discount, and we do get a little bit from it. But anyway, I am impressed with them, and I do like them, and I think that they're going to be probably one of my top seed companies, because we've had struggles with some of our other ones in the past, and I know you did too, because I've read some of your comments from last year when I was talking about our seeds not pollinating. So also my 365 challenge, guys. Right now I've got 71 pints canned up, and I know so many of you have just blown me away. I will be getting back to doing some canning this week, and I got all of your pictures. Keep sending them to hbjtexas2020@gmail.com so I can showcase your goods, because I've got them, and I'll be adding them on and taking them on to the end of my videos like I have been. I've also started a 365 challenge playlist where I'm including our videos, Alabama Preppers videos, Mimi Todd's videos, Central Texas Homestead videos, because this is really a great collaborative effort for our communities to get together and do this. I'm very happy so far with what I've canned up. And so far, in fact, I want to tell you something. Those leg quarters that you can get 10 pounds for about $6 to $7 a bag, those are turning out to be one of my favorite things to can, guys. I just boil them up, and I'm using that for dog food, but I'm also canning it for Greg and I, and it cans up quite nicely. Here's one of my jars. This is dark meat chicken primarily, guys, and this will be great for enchiladas, for chicken pot pies, for chicken soup. So many things you can do with this. I know a lot of people like to do white meat, and I'll be doing some chicken breast as well. But yeah, I'm very impressed with how this turned out, and it's cheap. We get usually about 10 to 12 pints from that 10-pound bag, and it's super easy to can up. And then with the bones, I have made quite a bit of bone broth. So I think I have, guys, about 17 pints of bone broth, both beef and chicken. Very happy to have this, especially this time of year, but this keeps me from having to buy chicken broth and beef broth at the store, because I can just can it up myself with those extra bones from those leg quarters. Keep those videos coming, guys. Keep your pictures coming of your canning. So excited about this, and you can tell I'm still having some respiratory stuff, but anyway, again, thank you for your prayers. Eating lots of citrus, taking all of our vitamins, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other, as I spoke with one of my friends and subscribers this morning. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. So get prepared for your garden, guys. Get prepared for a hot, dry summer. I hope that they're wrong, but get prepared just in case. And we love you, and I'll be in touch. Stay tuned.